So for those of you who love Olympus cameras, you might have come across the name of this chief designer, Yoshihisa Maitani. In fact, he and his team were responsible for many Olympus camera, well-known ones. And he worked there a long time. He actually wanted to be an automotive engineer, but a twist of fate, he couldn't make it, so he ended up designing cameras. And so, at that time, one of his early projects was this series of camera called the Pen. The Pen series. There were many. I have two here. So when Pen, we mean that the frame is only half size. So from 36 roll of film, you can get 72 plus maybe a few extra frame. And so you got this. This one is an auto version. So you just set the ISO, and then the selenium cell will measure the light. If it's enough, it will let you click. If it's not enough, a little red flag will come up, and then it will lock it. It will lock. It won't take. So it's automatic, fixed focus. Then they have many versions. So this one is the mechanical version. So you got focusing lens, you got aperture, you got shutter speed, you got light meter, and so on. So they have many of these Pen series. The idea of the Pen series is that it's so small, you can put it in the pocket, like how you put a pen. And you take this camera as a notebook, note-taking camera. Anywhere you go, anything interesting, you just take a shot. So there was the Pen. From this one, they went into the single lens reflex, half frame. That's the Pen F. Pen F, of course, is a little bigger than this, but still smaller than a regular SLR. So small, the advertisement for that camera in the American magazine, they took the shoe, American shoe, and they put the camera and the lenses inside. It's so small. And one of the famous journalists also used that, W. Eugene Smith, the one who covered the mercury poisoning of the Japanese fishing village, Minamata. I think they made a movie on that. So you got this half frame. But then the general user were not so happy with half frame. They prefer full frame. And at that time, the king of the camera was this, the Nikon F. And good as it is, but they got one problem. It's quite hefty, weight-wise. This without the lens. With the lens, it's about 3 pounds. Yeah. So this one was the benchmark. So the team had a project. They wanted to make a camera that is smaller than this, lighter than this, and better. So they had a massive challenge. So in the early 72, they came out with the Olympus M1. This is called the OM-1. But at first it was M1. M for Maitani. Olympus Maitani 1. Then the famous German camera company make a big protest because their rangefinder were in the M1, 2, 3, 4. So they back down, so they go back and rename it OM1, Olympus Maitani 1. So when this came out, it shook the world. So you can see from this size, it went down to this size. So volume-wise is smaller, weight-wise is less. But just not only size sake. When they wanted to make this, the idea was to make a system camera. Not only can change lens, you can put motor, you can put bulk film back, you have the viewfinder system, and every of these components must work well. And so, when you had the Nikon F2, they had a nice motor drive. The MD2, you can do about 5 frames per second. But when you want to do the high speed, you got to lock up the mirror because the mirror is not moving fast enough. So you got to high speed, you got to lock up the mirror. So during that period, there's nothing for you to see. You do all the setting before, and then when you press, there's nothing to see. You don't know what you're firing. This one, they had a motor drive so thin with the power pack, can do 5 frames per second with the mirror up and down. So they have a lot of innovation. Number one, what they did, they make this lens throat bigger. And then they put in a bigger mirror, big mirror. And to make the viewfinder, the bulge smaller, they remove the condenser lens. So from pentaprism is straight to a focusing screen. Don't have a condenser lens, so reduce the bulk and the weight. And to reduce the shock, they have air damper, air cushion damper. So when the mirror go up and down, it is in the tube, that the air will dampen the vibration and the sound. So, and the coating on the prism gives you a very bright view. So the magnification on the finder was big. So you got a big image with a bright view. Was class leading at that time. Of course, the mirror lock is still there, cell timer and so on. So this is small size. And another thing they did for the height reduction, traditionally on a focal plane shutter, the top and bottom is held by ribbon, a curtain to hold the curtain together, a ribbon. That takes up a space. So this designer, he got the inspiration on an accident when he was in hospital. They saw that they were using nylon cord for the surgery. So he took that inspiration, and instead of putting curtain, he used nylon cord for the top and bottom. So from a ribbon, about 2-3 mm, reduced to a thread, nylon thread. So he managed to reduce the height of the body. So many small things, but not everything was small. This was big, the ISO die was big, the mirror was big, the finder image was big, and they relocate the shutter speed down. Instead of top here, they put it here. So became a system camera. So they have a different group. So you have the finder group. So they opt not to have the changeable prism, but you have different angle of view. You got this magnifying the, so you can have normal view. You can increase the magnification to have a closer. So this for the close up for macro. Then of course you can put the motor. So this is a winder, so not a motor, but it goes 2 frames per second. Two frames per second. On. Metering was just plus minus, but the metering was very good. The accuracy of the meter, they say, as good as the Western Master meter. So meter was there. That was the first version. Then when they were doing this, they went and produced the next one, OM-2. This is a later version of OM-2. They have an OM-2. So OM-2, electronic shutter. OM-2 have a special metering. You got the meter on top just to have the idea, but the actual metering is when you take the picture. You got a multi-pattern curtain here. So it takes the exposure during actual exposure. So during actual exposure, if there was any light change, dark or bright, it will adjust. And you know, some of the mechanical aperture open closing. So over the year, the aperture might be slow or close at the wrong size. So this camera can actually make the adjustment during the actual exposure. So while the exposure is changing, the camera will make all the minor adjustments. And they introduced the TTL flash metering as well. So, but size-wise remain the same. Then, of course, later on, they even come out with the Olympus OM-4. OM-4, they introduced spot metering, multi-spot metering, highlight reading, shadow reading. So all these small size, they share the same motor, they share the same focusing screen, and the lenses were all tiny. They make a whole range of lenses. Majority of the lenses were only 49 mm filter thread. So the lens was very small, high quality. They also had the zooms. And they have a very elaborate flash system, either for macro or for general photography. So you can mount it here. Mount it here, so the flash can either go here or can go here. Inside this handle is another 4 batteries, so you've got a total of 8 batteries to power the flash. And then the sync wire is connected together. So there's a wire built in here. Plug it to the sync. So one is ready, you can fire away. Yeah, so you can fire. This allows you to bounce. You can bounce, and then you can tilt. So you can swivel and bounce. Swivel and bounce. So of course, when you don't want it so big, you can take it off. Now, this is the OM system, the main one, but they also came out with tiny cameras. They come out with the XA, the capsule camera, which I don't have here. It's tiny camera with a rangefinder. Then they came out later on with the MJU, the Mu series. They also came out with the Trip 35. So imagine the whole slew of this camera by one man and his team, Yoshihisa Maitani. So that was the Olympus legacy. Small, high quality system. Okay, that's it for you.
Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.